Why do we read? Part 1, birth through age 5. Oops. Wait, now I gotta, there we go. So I wanted to make sure everybody did introductions. I know Adelaide Meister is with Parents as Teacher in Wentzville, and Emily Schonlaw is also with Parents as Teachers in Wentzville and is in the kitchen with her 9-year-old, her 7-year-old, and her 3-year-old. Adelaide, how old are your children?
Oh, they're big. So we've got an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 16-year-old.
And I will tell you all that I have a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. And the best advice I can give is the days are long, but the years go by very quickly. So that is my suggestion. So Rachel, tell us what you're involved with and who your children are.
So I am just a stay-at-home mom. I'm
Don't ever say that.
I am here because I'm just part of Parents as Teachers. And then I have a son. He is 15 months old.
Oh. Have you put him down yet?
No, he's upstairs with his dad.
Like I held both of my children for the first year of their life because I didn't know what the heck else to do. So congratulations.
Oh, no, I definitely put him down. He's too heavy to carry all around.
Oh, you got one of those. Is he walking yet?
Just started.
That's gonna get scary. That's when it gets scary. Well, we were going to talk about, let's do this. What do you remember when you were a young child, and you asked somebody in your family over and over and over again to read a book to you? What was your favorite book as a young child, and how did that make you feel? Adelaide, I'm going to pick on you first.
Gosh, my favorite book. I think there's so many, but I specifically remember one, and I just brought it out recently again for my boys. It was I Can Organize.
Say that again?
It's called I Can Organize.
Oh,
room right now. But it's just a little book, and it talks about, oh, I can't pick up. This is so exhausting. What am I going to do? And then it just takes a little by little. I can't do this. I can't pick up. I can't organize. So I just brought that out for my boys because it's such a huge skill that we're missing in our house right now.
Need to get that for my teenagers. Very good. Emily, what's your favorite book when you were a young child?
My favorite book was called Perfect the Pig. It was about, do you know which one I'm talking about?
I know Perfect the Pig.
It's about a little pig that the lady found, and it could fly, and then a mean guy captured it, but then she got her pig back, and it's just a super cute story.
And you know what you're doing when you're thinking about it? You're laughing.
Because my mom used to read it to us. Lay in bed with her. There were 3 of us, and she'd read us books, and I still have it. I have all the books that she read. She gave to me, so I read them to my kids. And that's their favorites. All the books from like the 80s, 90s.
And you know why? Because they can see you loving it.
Yeah.
Kids do what they see, not what they're told. So Rachel, do you have a favorite book when you were a little kid?
I don't remember having one, but I don't remember a lot from that time period. I wish I could tell you. I have no idea.
That's okay.
That's okay. I have favorites that I read my son, but I don't know that I had any of them growing up.
What's your favorite that you read to your son right now? Or that your son makes you read?
I really, he hasn't figured out that books are different yet. He just hands me whatever book he finds. But I really like Goodnight Construction Site, and
excellent book.
Yeah. I love everything that rhymes. So things like On the Night You Were Born, just things that rhyme that are fun to read, you know.
Absolutely.
I like Oh, The Places You'll Go is probably my favorite one that I read to him a lot.
I was in this, I'm just breaking off this, but I was in some seminar last night and they're talking about how songs and poetry teach reading. And it's so true. And so that rhyming, Rachel, that is key to teaching a child to read. It's just absolutely key. So Turn the Page STL is a chapter of the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading. And what we're really looking at here in St. Louis City and County is why children are exiting third grade not reading proficiently. And it is a crisis here in the city of St. Louis and in much of St. Louis County. We know that a student who can't read on grade level by third grade is 4 times less likely to graduate by age 19 than a child who does read proficiently by that time. And you add poverty to the mix, and a student is 13 times less likely to graduate high school on time than his or her proficient, wealthier peers. We also know that illiteracy affects all areas of life and has a profound impact on the future economic growth in St. Louis. Those with low literacy skills are far more likely to live in poverty, face health problems, and grow isolated in a world increasingly dependent on computers. That was written before COVID. And we were also looking at third grade reading proficiency rates here in St. Louis City and County. This shows you, I'm going to go to Riverview Gardens School District. Only 12.8% of graduating third graders passed the MAP third grade reading proficiency test. Passed it. We're looking at in Normandy, 16.9% of the kids passed it. You can look at all these in University City public schools. An interesting statistic, it looks better, right? 41.1%. But I will tell you that 90% of those kids that passed it were white. So there's a lot of racial inequity going on with our literacy instruction. State of Missouri is not doing super great. Just about 50% of the kids can pass the third grade reading proficiency exam, which I find a crisis. Wentzville Public Schools are one of the top ones at 58.7%. So just know that you're in an excellent school district, but still needs improvement. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So Turn the Page is a coalition. We're a collective impact organization and member of the National Campaign for Grade Level Reading. And we're a St. Louis citywide literacy initiative dedicated to increasing the number of children that are reading at or above grade level by the end of third grade. And as I said before, foundational to this work is the understanding that racial inequity in St. Louis has contributed to generations of disparity based on race and zip code. We, over the past year, have been doing a big needs assessment. Oh my goodness, Rachel. Now hi. We've been doing a big look at our needs assessment, and there's 5 major factors after meeting with our superintendents and having focus groups and parents as teachers and every nonprofit organization and library system. And we looked at, there's 5 major factors that lend their child not to be able to read by the end of third grade. The number 1 is kindergarten readiness. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Our kids aren't ready for kindergarten, and what does that mean? Also, another big factor that leads to a child not reading proficiently by the end of third grade is summer learning. So there's this thing called the summer slide that I'm sure you guys are familiar with. We're off school for 2 to 3 months and kids are at home playing video games and not learning. And I think I was reading an article today that it's going to be an 18-month summer slide because of COVID if we don't get back in that classroom. So we're having a generation here of kids that are having tremendous learning loss. The other big issue is attendance. Kids going to school, high mobility rates, especially in St. Louis City and County, and tardiness. One of the biggest factors was that English language arts instruction is the first period of the day in almost all schools. Yet we've got close to and sometimes 60% tardy rates. That means 60% of the kids don't get English language arts instruction. Teacher preparedness is also a big issue in making sure our teachers know how to teach a child to read. And number 5, which I would say COVID has highlighted more than any factor right now, is we've got to engage our families in the education of our children. It is now not just up to the teacher. It has got to be the families and the community. So what can we do to ensure that your child is reading proficiently by the end of 3rd grade? And what is most important is that it starts the day your child was born. Literacy starts day 1. And in fact, I know a lot of people that would agree it starts in utero by hearing your voice and hearing words. But there are 5 major factors that go into making sure that your child is kindergarten ready, and which is the leading factor of 3rd grade reading proficiency. Number 1, home visitation programs. They are, all research leads to the high importance of home visitation programs. And I know that it's difficult for some families to open up their homes even pre-COVID. But having that other adult in you, peer adult in your life, it creates a village that is absolutely important. Oh, we got Michelle.
I got her in. Also, Emily sent through the chat that she used to teach 4th grade in Hazelwood, and everything you are saying is very accurate.
Ah, yes. So Hazelwood is one of the 7 school districts that we're actually working with to improve 3rd grade reading proficiency. So thank you, Emily. And welcome, Michelle. I'm going to keep going with my talk, but at some point when we get at a breaking point, you'll have to introduce yourself. So home visitation programs is very important. Also, and I'm going to talk about tonight a little bit, are the 3 T's. Simple to learn, extraordinarily important with your baby is to make sure that you are tuning in and you are talking and you're taking turns with your baby. And I'll get into that more. The 3rd most important thing is read books aloud everywhere. Introduce those rich, rich words. What did you say? Organizing, Adelaide? What was the name of the book?
I can organize.
Now think of that word, organize. That's a huge word, right? That's a big, big word. And you might say clean up your room, or you might say put your stuff away, but organize, that is a rich vocabulary word. I will tell you, and I don't know if it's later in the presentation, but the best predictor of 3rd grade reading proficiency is the vocabulary a child has when they enter kindergarten. The best predictor. And that vocabulary comes from books. Background knowledge also, explore your community. When kids start to learn to read and they're talking about a tiger, it's nice that children already have a sense of what a tiger is, whether they've seen it at the zoo or read it in a book or saw it online. So it's exposing kids to everything. And then I would go so far, and everybody does not have to agree with me on number 5, nor are there in Missouri enough quality pre-K programs. But the sooner you can get your child into a pre-K quality program, that will get them kindergarten ready. So, number 1, I talked about home visitation programs work. Parents as Teachers is one. It started in St. Louis, Missouri. It is a national program, and I think most of our country would agree is one of the best. Children are better prepared for school. Home visiting programs promote positive parenting practices that help parents better prepare their children for school. Parents enrolled in home visiting programs are more likely to have a safe play environment at home, provide age-appropriate books, and engage children in structured teaching activities. Home visiting programs have also demonstrated long-term positive impacts on children's academic achievement. And I just want to take this time, does anybody want to say anything about a positive experience that they might have had with parents as teachers?
I love parents as teachers. I have 3 boys and my oldest is 16. And I did it with my oldest at 16 before I even had thought what I was going to do for a job. And now it's kind of come full circle where I've done it with each one of my kiddos. And now I get to be that person, that educator who comes in, talks with those families. And it has kind of evolved over the years. It used to be very child-centered, where the educator would work with the child one-on-one, really, with like kind of a parent audience. But now we're encouraging more involvement with the whole family. So watching that evolve over the years and being a part of that is really exciting.
Getting those dads involved.
Absolutely.
Rachel, what about you? What do you
Hi.
like about? Hi.
I will just show you Bennett because he's cuter.
It's cute.
I am
Serious.
really enjoying the program right now. I think it's really been great, especially with COVID, because we don't see a lot of people right now. And we actually were at the library today and we saw Miss Shannon, who is our parents as teachers person, and we saw her with her kids at the library, and we said hi. But it's nice that that we get to interact with people. And I really have been enjoying the or at least I was before pre-COVID. I was really enjoying the like baby time, playtime thing that they were doing at the center, or wherever they are located, the headquarters, I guess, the Parents as Teachers building. And we had a lot of fun with that, and we loved the little take home toy, or like the make and takes, and really that was a really cool program that I'm so sad to not be able to do right now.
Parenting was never made to just be you as this, or you and your husband. Oh my goodness, you and you. It's supposed to be a village. It's supposed to be a whole community taking care of a child. So Michelle, I don't mean to pick on you at all.
Oh, you're fine.
But introduce yourself. Tell us about your kids.
I have a almost 3-year-old. He'll be 3 in December. And we've been doing Parents as Teachers since, I guess, like beginning, like 6 months. I don't know how early I don't remember, but we love it.
What do you like about it?
Tiffany's our parents teacher educator, and she just gives me a lot of great ideas, and I'm always doing what she says to make activities for the car ride, which we didn't end up getting to use just because of COVID this year, but lots of activities. And we've done virtual, and then more recently we did in person, which was great too.
That's fantastic. I have to tell you just a brief story. When I had parents as teachers 18 years ago, my parent educator was able to figure out that my son couldn't hear way before the pediatrician and having family members that said, oh no, your child's brilliant. Einstein didn't learn to speak till he was 3. And my parent educator got me in to test his hearing, and he couldn't hear, and all he needed was ear tubes, which he did. It was an easy practice. That prevention, if he never would have been able to hear those first 5 years, it would have been dramatic. It's a phenomenal program, and I'm proud to advocate for it.
It is
So
awesome. That's how we actually found out that my son, we ended up doing first steps through our parent educator told us that we should try and, because in the beginning, Jonathan had torticollis, and that's how we ended up getting a helmet for him. So that was great that they were able to link us to that program as well.
we use First Steps also. Phenomenal, great program. Advocate in Missouri for it to stay, well, and parents as teachers, by the way. Parents as teachers is primarily state funded, and so is First Steps. So make sure our governor knows that. And that prevention, Michelle, is just dramatic because your son's going to enter kindergarten and there's going to be no issues that could have been if not treated early. So the other thing, and I'm looking at the time since I know, but I'll just keep talking here. The 3 T's. So there was this big report that came out a few years ago. It was called the 30 million word gap. And it was about children living in poverty. Hear 30 million fewer words by age 3 than a child not living in poverty. And it was also the richness of those words. So rather than saying, go to bed, it would say, do you want to climb up the stairs and jump to the bed and put your pajamas on and read? So it's talking. So she concluded from her research that the most important thing we can do for our children is have conversations with them. The way you talk with your child literally builds his or her brain. Parent talk can drastically improve school readiness and lifelong learning in everything from math to art. And parent-child talk is a fundamental critical factor in building grit, self-control, leadership skills, and generosity. And what it is, it's the 3 T's. So it's tuning in. So when your child is talking to you, you are tuned into that child. And that child knows that you are receptive to their language. It's also talking more. So while you're doing the dishes, talk about the dishes that you're doing. When you're in the grocery store, that's different now, I'm sure. But let's just take pre-COVID. When you're in the grocery store, and you're worried that the toddler's going to, not sit in the cart through the store, start talking about everything. What do you see? This is green in the store. Oh, this is an apple. Wow. Do you like apples? That constant communication. It's a great thing to do to talk. Also, when you're changing a diaper, taking a bath, whatever you're doing, just talk, tell stories, talk about yourself. And then also taking turns. So if a child says, why, which Michelle has a 3-year-old, so that's already started. Rachel, it'll come to you very soon, where everything is why. Engage in it the best you can, even if you don't know the answer. That back and forth taking turns will just build that brain. We know that synapses form in language synapses, when you hear it over and over and over and over and over, and that synapse strengthens. That's why when I was born, I only heard English. And so my English synapse got stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And all the other 1900 languages I didn't hear pruned itself away. If your child doesn't hear English, the brain will start to prune it away. Third thing is, and you guys, we all know this, read books. We talked about that rich language. In 1985, there was a big commission on the reading it was called Becoming a Nation of Readers, and it was organized by the National Academy of Education and the National Institute of Education, and it was funded through the U.S. Department of Education. It concluded that the single most important activity for building the knowledge required for eventual success in reading is reading aloud to children. There is nothing else better you can do. Not flashcards. It is reading, reading, reading. And like I just said, in the first year of life, more than 1 million new neural connections are formed every second. The early years are the most active period for establishing neural connections, and connections that form early provide either a strong or weak foundation that form later. By the age of 2, children who are read to regularly display greater language comprehension, larger vocabularies, and higher cognitive skills than their peers. And becoming a successful, strong reader depends upon regular exposures to reading aloud and access to children's books at home at a young age. Experts are nearly unanimous in stating that babies should routinely experience shared books as soon as they experience shared talking. That is during the first weeks and months of life. And trust me, you can read anything till they start choosing these books. So read. And go to the library too. I love, Rachel, that you go to the library. And then background knowledge. Kids need to know about the world around them. This is going to be very difficult during COVID to really see stuff, but some things we can still do. And I wrote that background knowledge is not a frill of education, a nicety that simply helps students enjoy reading and learning. Background knowledge is essential to comprehension, to making connections, and understanding the big ideas. Background knowledge is the foundation of all academic study. Not taking the time to assess, activate, and build prior knowledge is like throwing the ball to an inexperienced basketball player and demanding that he play like a pro in the big leagues. Ask any kindergarten teacher. It is so much easier when children have a vast amount of background knowledge. So museums are great, right? Going to the zoo, a photo of this, but just walking in nature right now and talking about the stuff that you know creates that background knowledge. So when the kindergarten teacher starts reading a book about snakes, they have some concept of what a snake is. Cooking is another great way to talk about what you're doing while you're cooking. Gives them some knowledge about the food that they eat. So background knowledge. And last, and I'm going to talk about this briefly, but actually in the state of Missouri, I don't know if you know this, your child does not need to start school till age 7. But I advocate for enrolling your child in school as early as you can and in a high quality program. And I argue that there's 5 major reasons that you should consider enrolling your child in a high quality preschool program. 1, school readiness. Studies demonstrate that participation in high quality center-based pre-K programs positively influences all children's kindergarten readiness, including gains in academic scores, literacy and math skills, as well as improvements in social and emotional development, getting along with those other kids, basically, which is social and emotional development. 3- and 4-year-olds learn through their experiences, and good teachers make time for those teachable moments when they can help children learn to manage frustration or anger. When somebody takes a toy away from them. Confidence and self-esteem, positive interactions with other children and teachers promote a positive, healthy, and secure view of themselves that will allow them to approach situations and problems confidently throughout their lives. We've also shown that it boosts pre-math and literacy skills. And if you've got a good teacher, it creates excitement and motivation for learning. And also, just like parents as teachers as check-ins of developmental milestones, if a child is in some type of program, they have early and regular check-ins and assessments that can help families track and celebrate their children's developmental milestones. So that is my presentation. I do feel like I'm speaking a bit to the choir. I feel Michelle and Rachel here, and Emily and Adelaide are very understanding, but now you've got the presentation behind you to know that what you're doing is right on and making it the forefront and of what you're doing with your child every day. You are their first teacher. Questions?
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, so I know that we're supposed to so you're supposed to read to your child every day. If you accidentally skip a day, can you make it up with extra books the next day?
That's a great question. It's okay to skip a day. You know why? You're a human being. I would say I wouldn't worry about doubling it. I would put it in your routine as best you can. That's my suggestion.
Okay.
So before bed, and it doesn't have to be during routine. It can also be out of routine. But if you put it in your routine,
Right.
then it happens. Absolutely not. No. And also, I think babies, especially young ones, their attention spans aren't that long. So you don't want it to. You want it to be fun. No, you're like, no, he has no attention span, and that's age appropriate, right? So you want to make sure it's fun, an activity, that it's that pleasure. First, because I think humans do what makes them feel good. So, yeah, no, don't double it up.
So does it matter what we're reading? Because what I've been trying to do is like put the books into categories and do a different topic every week. And so we're doing like colors we did one week, and then this week we're trying to do like fall, the season, and numbers and like letters and stuff. But does it like matter what we read, or like should I be mixing it up more instead of doing it like different topics during the week?
I think that Adelaide and Emily should videotape you and your and the books that you choose, and encourage parents to do stuff like that, because you're clearly very, very involved, and that's what the child sees. It's not what they told, it's what they see, and they see mom is really into this. Mom is categorizing books. This must be important.
Well, we're trying to sing songs too, like when we did animal noises that week, we did like Old MacDonald and stuff. And
Awesome.
Sorry, my kid is behind my chair. Hey,
and when they start to learn, like Old MacDonald, and they start to learn letter, like what am I trying to? Phonemic awareness.
Animal?
They go back to those songs, like cow, plow, sow, fly, whatever. They go back to all those great songs, and you're just setting them up for success. Emily and Natalie, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you.
I love that you are going through and categorizing it. That's so fun to me. And also, I wish I had that organization skill. I'm gonna have to pull that book out for myself. But I think that's amazing. And I think sometimes the bonus of reading the same books is definitely okay. I always err on the side of more books for all the time. So like bath time books, those plasticky books, because that's the time that, if he enjoys bath time, then you might get to stay there, 20 minutes or however long. And so that just gives you an additional time to spend together, to connect over a book. And in the car, my boys are big, and I think we still have books in the car for them to read. Not that we're going anywhere nowadays, but those little transition moments throughout your day where you go, oh yeah, I could read a book right now. And
Or sing a song.
Or sing a song, absolutely.
I remember singing hi ho, off to bed we go. I don't know why, that for some reason that got them, and I didn't care, because that's where we needed to go. Emily, you have any thoughts? Emily, have you any thoughts?
I was just going to say, I like that she's doing the categories, because then you can do a lot of different activities with it. Like you can make a collage out of leaves, and then you could talk about colors. It's so easy to think of other activities when you already have a topic that you're talking about. Wave hi, Gus. This is Gus. Say hi. He likes amazing meetings. He likes to make an appearance.
Awesome. Yeah, see that we're all showing off our babies.
Oh, I love it. These are snuggly babies.
Oh, I miss that. You guys are going to miss it. You don't realize it, but you will. Rachel or Michelle, do you have any other questions? You have beautiful children. So in case they don't read, they can go into modeling or something. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. I also encourage all my parents to just, if you're trying to find a way to encourage that language and vocabulary throughout your house, I love Lisa's telling a story or telling a story about yourself, those are my biggest takeaways. I love that. I always say just narrate your day. Oh,
Narrate
we're
your day.
gonna open the freezer. We're gonna get out the corn dogs because that's what we're eating right now. And then how are we gonna cook the corn dogs? Do you want to do it in the microwave? Do you want to do it in the stove? I think they taste better in the oven. Well, you don't cook them on the stove, you know what I mean.
Right.
But lots
And when
of
I was a little girl, my mom wouldn't let us have corn dogs. I mean, you can just keep going and
Yes.
going and going. So, and you don't realize it, but it's all going in. It's all going in. Because when they start to talk, it all comes out. See, look what, Rachel, what are you, I don't want you to look all away from your son, but what book did you just pick up?
He brought it to me. It is
Nice.
it's called Counting.
Yeah.
And it's like a touch and feel book. And he also brought me this one. Go away,
Big Green Monster. And don't you come back no more.
His favorite thing to do is just pull all the books off of his bookshelf and just throw them on the floor. So I just spent some time during this meeting putting them back, but he brought me a couple. So we'll be reading these in a minute.
Children at that age do a lot of chewing, so don't worry about it. That's what board books were made, and those bath books are great too. Michelle, you don't look like a Michelle. Oh, there, that looks like a Michelle. You have another very handsome son.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Not today, I don't.
You can always, this is my email, if you guys ever want to email me or call me or call Adelaide. I think she'll answer the phone all the time. Emily will too.
We will also do your second part.
All right.
So on the 22nd, we will do a part 2 of what we learned today. We'll kind of take it even further on in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and looking at ages 5 to 8 and how to learn to read. You guys all getting enough sleep? Y'all look good. Take care of mom. Happy mom is happy home. But y'all look good. What did my mother say? Now I'm learning this. She said, you'd rather be woken up in the middle of the night by your baby crying than being woken up in the middle of the night not knowing where your child is. And when you're a teenager, I don't know how bad you guys were, but I was not a good teenager. Like that was hard on my mother. So when they cry in the middle of the night, just say, oh, they're here and they're safe. I have to get up, but they're here and they're safe. So
I like that. It's a good spin.
Yeah. Get you going at 3 a.m. Like, I can't do this. And did you know you would love your children as much as you do? I had no idea. I mean, forget husbands, but like you have no idea. There's some biological, so that, oh, look at them.
Oh.
Anything else? I know we were supposed to go till 7 and it is now 7:15, which makes me feel good.
No,
Adelaide, you want to take us out?
Sure. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I am excited that we have made this connection with Lisa and Turn the Page. And I hope to continue that relationship. So you might see a little bit more. And then of course on Instagram, I live streamed this to YouTube. So it is on there now. If you are thinking of anything that you might, he's not waving, that you might want to ask, you can all ask it there or through our website. We have all of our parent groups. We are hoping to get something started. I know Rachel was saying about the, I forget what we even called it, the baby time, the 0 to 2 age group that we did, which now you do look familiar after you said that. I know you. So hopefully we will have something maybe like a make and take that you can pick up from the office. We're kind of playing around with those ideas. So be on the lookout for some new things on the horizon. And then of course, if you need anything, you can always reach out to your parent educator. I heard a lot of fun names that I know and love. So they are more than happy to help you out there. And I hope to see you at our next one. I think next week is all about, it's on Tuesday. I think it starts at 6, maybe. It is all about early dental health. So always a fun one and a good one. And then of course, in 2 weeks, we'll be back with Lisa for another part 2. And
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Thank you all. Get a wonderful night's sleep and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Get out
Thank
before it
you.
gets cold. Bye-bye. Thank you, Adelaide. Thank you, parents as teachers.
Oh, no, man.
Oh.
So sweet.
Bye.